record. We're gonna call her by phone because we can't get her through the video transmission equipment. And so we're on the record in Deiana matter case D 509839.
Hi, is this Ashley? Hi, I'm calling from Judge Antilles' courtroom. Please hold 1 moment while we go on the record.
Hi Ashley, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh hi, we are unable to, for some reason the audio visual transmission equipment isn't working, so we tried but we can't get a connection, so we had to call you instead.
Okay, that's fine.
Alright, so we are now on the record in case D 509839, the Deiana versus Deiana matter. This is a time set for Dad's motion for order to enforce the orders of the court, an order to show cause regarding contempt, and Mom's opposition. So let me hear from Mr. Deiana first, and then I'll hear from Ashley, and we'll go from there. I mean, I know what's going on, but let me hear from you anyway. And let me, by the way, let me be really brief. I also have to now, I know that there's been another case filed. I am required under the rules to have a UCC-JEA conference with them to let them know what's the status here, and so they can determine what they're going to do there. So I will set that up so that I have that conference with them.
The conference with my lawyer?
With the case, with the judge actually in New
Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to have a conference. We're required to have a conference with them when there are two cases filed. So, and frankly, when it comes to the kids, I mean, I still have, at this point, I believe I still have exclusive and continuing jurisdiction over the kids. Clearly, over the other issues, the contempt issues with regard to the money, I mean, I have exclusive jurisdiction over that too. But in terms of issuing orders that are, I just want to make sure I have the UCC-JEA conference first, okay? All right, so just understand that that's sort of puts a little hiccup in things, but I'm required to do it, okay?
Will we get notified of that? What
Yeah.
happens and what happens?
Yeah, you'll get notified of it and what happens, absolutely. I just have to make contact with them, and then they'll set a telephonic conference. If we think there's a dispute or some reason why we need to hear from the two of you, then we'll actually have a hearing where you come in. But if there's no factual dispute and we apply the law and we make a determination, then we'll just do that without you. But if we need you, then we'll let you know. Okay? All right.
Okay.
All right, so...
I did file into that case.
I'm sorry, dear?
I did file into that case in New Mexico.
You filed into the case? Is that what you said? What did you file in the case?
An opposition.
Oh, okay, an opposition.
A reply.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Stating that jurisdiction.
This jurisdiction was here. Okay, I mean, that's fine. Whatever you filed in there, it doesn't change what jurisdiction is.
Right.
I mean, we ultimately have to make that determination between the two of us. The other judge and I. Do you know the judge's name there, Ashley, by chance?
Yes, Judge Albert Mitchell.
Albert Mitchell, I think I saw that on the paperwork. Okay. So yeah, I have to call Judge Mitchell and just have that conference first. Sometimes it depends upon, like I said, it depends upon what we deem to be the issue and if we need to have an additional hearing where we actually talk to the two of you on the record. But oftentimes we can just apply the law, look at the facts of the situation and make a determination without you.
Okay.
But I just need to make sure that I make that contact with him before I do anything more in terms of custodial orders. Okay? All right. So with that, Peter, I want you to make your argument on the motion. I'm going to hear from Mom on the opposition, and then I'll do what I can in terms of orders before I have the UCC-JEA conference. I'll do what I can in terms of the other issues, okay? So go ahead and make your argument, and then I'll let Ash make hers, okay?
So, as far as the house goes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was ordered for the house to be sold. Ashley was asked on the, I believe it was April 3rd, 2018, or 7, yeah, April 3rd, 2018 hearing that we had, if there was any danger of the house being foreclosed on, and if the payments were up to date and everything was kosher with the mortgage.
Right.
And her testimonies to answer that was that the mortgage was paid up to date and everything was kosher and there was no danger of foreclosure. But 3 weeks later, they're changing the locks on the house and the house is foreclosed on. So she obviously knew what was happening when she was asked that question here in court. So she lied to the court.
Okay.
Can I interject, or do I need to wait till he's completely finished?
Just wait, and then you can respond. Okay. I'll let you
Okay.
know. I'll let you know when I want to hear from you, and if it might be in the middle of his argument, but otherwise, just let him do his, take notes, and then you can respond when he's finished.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
So on April 21st, I had finalized a sales negotiation on the house from here with potential buyers down in Tucumcari. And immediately after, the broker that was assisting in the sale contacted me saying that they went out to the house to do an inspection and somebody was there changing the locks. And it was directed by the bank. And the foreclosure proceedings were going to start. So after that, we confronted Ashley about it, and Ashley said that she would contact the bank and see what she could do to stop it after much convincing on my part. She said there was a packet going to be mailed to her, she had to fill it out, she had a deadline to get it back, and that she would take care of it. Well, that deadline came and went, and we never heard of any packet, she never sent anything in, she never made contact with anybody at the bank. She actually stalled the sales agreement process until after that deadline was passed. So once we figured out that the foreclosure was happening and there was issues with the lien on the house and the buyers going through with it, we had no other recourse because the deadline was already gone. It's still in the courts in New Mexico under foreclosure agreements or foreclosure proceedings. But where my argument lies is she obviously lied to the court when asked if the house was being paid on. She said it was paid on, it was paid in full, up to date. You asked her who was paying the payments. She said her mother was paying the payments and her mother paid the payment. Well,
You were still
uncovered the fact that the last payment on the house was in January. We were in court in April,
1 of 18.
1 of 18.
Right. So it's only 3 payments behind, and they foreclosed, or were they?
They
Were
foreclosed,
payments-
yes, they foreclosed. They sent her over 30 notices, certified and emailed to her to give her help and different options of not going through with the foreclosure and retaining the house, and she ignored every one
Aren't
of
you
them.
on the house too?
I'm not on the loan, I'm on the
No,
deed.
alone. Okay.
And she ignored every correspondence that they sent her. So come August, there was no more coming back, and there was no more, we're gonna help you. It was just plain, we're foreclosing. So because of that, now I'm out half of the $40,000 in equity, $42,000 I believe it was, in equity that we had built in the home, because she decided she doesn't want anything to do with the home, or maybe it was because she'd rather see the home go goodbye than to see me get any money out of it. I'm not exactly 100% sure of her intentions, but I do know that it was intentional. And it's depriving me of $20-some thousand of my share of the equity. Not to mention still putting me on the hook for the liens that would have been secured by the sale of the house.
Okay. And I'm sure that I don't know. I haven't heard from Ashley yet on this issue, but if somebody else were paying the mortgage, would you and Ashley have repaid those people for the payments, or was there any kind of discussion about
We
that?
didn't discuss that,
Okay,
but if discussed, I'm sure we could have come to an agreement with that, obviously, but it wasn't discussed.
okay. All right,
I mean, she, in her opposition, she says pretty straightforward that she decided she didn't want anything to do with the house. Well, she can't decide that I just lose out on the equity that we have built in the house. It wasn't her choice to make. It wasn't her choice to make, to.
right, I mean, I guess the question was, why didn't you get the opportunity to pay the payments and bring it up to date? And
I wasn't notified at all.
okay.
Oh, my God.
I found out by the broker telling me that the house
Oh,
was
okay.
foreclosure.
Ma'am, hold on.
When I was under the impression we were about to sign on the final of the house.
Okay. I mean, we knew you weren't paying. We knew that she wasn't paying, but she led you to believe, and me, the court, to believe that mom and dad were paying.
Correct.
And then there was, I think there might have been a time when she paid. Oh well, the renters paid at one point.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So.
as far as the renters, you know, we were already notified that there was no renters in there anymore. We knew that part.
Mhm.
But she was strongly suggested to find new tenants while we were waiting for the sale of the house to go. And she refused. I had multiple conversations with her. I filed those as exhibits about putting renters in the house, and she
What?
refused.
Oh, my God.
Her exact words were, I don't have time for tenants, and I don't want to deal with putting tenants in the house, so I'm not going to get tenants. So she, at that point, had already made up her mind that that house was going to be defaulted on.
Okay. So that's one issue.
And I did submit those conversations as
Mhm.
exhibits last night.
Yeah, I saw it. All right. So Ashley, do you want to respond to? I'm going to kind of go issue by issue, if you would. Okay. So Ashley,
Yes.
okay, go ahead and give me your response on this one.
Okay, so there were tenants living in the house until we decided, or that we were in court and decided that Pete wanted to sell the house. We wanted to sell the house. So those tenants that were in there said, well, fine then, we'll get out of the way, because they were going to actually purchase the house until they found out the amount of liens that were against the house. So they ran off and then purchased their own home. Then I got a broker to assist with finding other
Can I
buyers.
ask you a question? What did the
Yeah,
amount
sure.
of liens have to do with them purchasing the house?
Because it's over $60,000, and we wouldn't have gotten anything back unless those liens were paid for.
It's not actually overseas.
Well, if you sell the house to some third party and they pay some price for the house, they don't release the liens on the home to get paid. They have to get paid in full. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And they were all under Peter's name.
Okay.
So for me to get him to cooperate with me was not working.
Okay.
Okay? And
So you're saying that the 60,000 in liens would have had to have been paid in full. How much? You only had 40,000 in it.
There wasn't $60,000 in liens. What she's going off of is what the broker had emailed us both, and there was multiple
Duplicates or something?
repetitions
Mhm.
in there. So if you add it all together, sure, it would be 60,000, but it came out to just over 40,000, I believe. But 38,000 of that was the IRS alone, or 30-some thousand of that was the IRS alone, which we could have got negotiated down
Right, I think we talked
if
about
she had
this last time.
got her boss involved in it, like it was suggested,
Mm,
but she refused to do as well.
okay.
and I don't work for a tax attorney, as everyone's claiming I do, so I don't know where that got mis-
Okay,
construed.
so go ahead, Ashley, you can respond.
Okay, so there was nobody in the house, and then we did find another buyer, and they were ready to go. They had gone to the bank. They were ready to sign, and then they found out how much liens were on the house, and then they backed off. So, again, nobody in the house, nobody makes payment, and I by myself could not make another house payment on my own, and Pete was unwilling to help make a house payment to keep it going. So one of my only choices was to call the bank and say, hey, I can't make these payments anymore. What do you want me to do? So yes, I've been talking to the bank, whether he says I haven't or not. Their suggestion was to try and make any sort of payment whatsoever just to keep it going, but I had no money to make an extra house payment. That's why I was in the predicament that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I said that I couldn't do that, and that's where that went. And whether they were contacting Pete or not, I'm not sure.
Oh, they wouldn't contact Pete because he's not on the loan, correct?
Correct.
Well, every State Farm thing I'm getting has his name on it.
Not one of those letters had my name on it. I got copies of the letters and I submitted them last night as exhibits, all 30, some of them. Sorry, that's why it was 200 pages.
I just got seen one.
How did you, hold on one second, I'm gonna pull those up. How did you buy the home with her, yeah, it has all Ashley's name, but how did you buy the home with her name only, and then, is that because of the,
We went through State Farm Bank and their A-plus credit only.
and she had the credit?
And I was 20 points shy of being able to be on the loan on my
okay.
credit, so they put me on the deed instead.
Yeah, okay, so, did, Ashley, by chance, did you contact Pete about making any payments?
Yes, I had asked him if he could help with payments, absolutely.
When?
Oh, over the past 2 years, probably.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about when you got to the point that was like, my mom's paying, she doesn't want to pay, I can't pay, I'm getting notices. Did you ever notify Pete, hey, do you want to make these payments so that we don't lose this house?
Yes.
When?
Maybe a year ago. I don't have an exact date in
No.
front of me.
A year ago couldn't be, because we were here a year ago and you said the payments were up to date as of April of 2018. So after that, between April and August, do you have any kind of proof that you contacted Pete to say, hey, I've stopped paying, I can't do this, can you do it?
It would be over talking parents in those documents.
Do you have anything from there? No. Okay, all right, so
Not
that's...
directly in front of me.
You'd have to, okay, that's fine. What I'm gonna do is I wanna hear what everybody's position is, and then I'm gonna issue an order to determine what additional information I need, so that you can provide that to me if you have it.
Okay.
And then, if it's in Talking Parents, you'll be able to find it and pull it from Talking Parents. So, all right, so that's that issue. So we know what happened to the house, and I know what your position is on what you want, and I know Ashley's position is, hey, nobody helped me, and I couldn't maintain it. So let's talk then about I know that the tax issue basically kind of plays right along with that. So, and we've already issued orders regarding that, but I'll make sure I keep my orders consistent.
What tax order?
Well, I mean, you guys have debt that's hanging
Okay.
out there, so I just want to make sure that I keep my orders consistent in terms of how we handle those. So, all right, so now let's talk about the visitation and transportation and what's transpired since the last time we were here, and what visitation did occur, what didn't occur. So after we were here in April of last year.
The last physical visitation that I had with the kids was summer vacation.
Okay, so you had your summer.
After that, it should have been Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
and Christmas. I tried to come up with a solution on an exchange or handoff of the kids, and it didn't quite work out. I asked, I said, would you be willing to
Meet me at the border.
'Cause if I go into New Mexico, there's a chance I'm going to be arrested, because I'm still dealing with that down there. And immediately she said no. So we
Well, she said she wanted gas money. Okay, so
It turned out she wanted almost $900 for her to transport the kids. And then
To go back and forth, yes, absolutely.
Then I said,
4 times?
I filed those as exhibits as well last night. Has our conversations off of Talking Parents.
okay,
I think.
all right. But here's the deal. So let me.
Then
I
was
hear
gonna do
you on
their
that.
plane tickets.
Mhm.
And
What about plane tickets?
she-
I'm sorry.
I was gonna do the airplane tickets after that fell through, and she said she would not transport the kids to the airport unless I paid her the gas money up front, and that she wanted $900.
Well,
Oh
okay.
my
So
God.
here's the thing.
$820.
Here's the thing. Okay, so let me. This is where it gets sticky because I completely alleviated your child support obligation so that you could pay for all the transportation.
Yeah.
So while I know I see you guys playing the game of chicken, like she's like, I'm not doing that until I know I have my money, and you're saying I'm not giving you money until I know you're doing that, and because neither one of you trusts the other, and so for me to hold her in contempt because she's not done what she's supposed to do, you would have had to like come out of pocket. Like, here's the money. Because, I mean, here's the gas money.
She already told me that she wasn't going to transport the kids to the airport, so why would I press?
Yes, I did. If you provided gas money.
Hold on,
If I
hold
know,
on.
if I know that it's going to be wasted money. She had already informed me that she wasn't going to bring them to the airport.
Unless you gave her the money to get there.
$894.
To get just to the
24 hours.
airport?
Just to the airport.
To the Amarillo airport? Which one?
No, to Albuquerque Airport.
Oh. Is that one's farther than the Amarillo airport, isn't it?
Correct. It's, I believe it's 2.5 hours.
Oh, well, Amarillo and Albuquerque aren't that far apart then.
It's an hour and a half to the Amarillo Airport.
Oh, okay. And it was
And
that much money
I
in
already
order
picked out the dates. I already informed her of the dates.
Mhm.
But I wasn't gonna buy it now if I know I'm just gonna throw the money away. She
Well,
had
you're not,
already
because if you're
informed
buying,
me.
are you buying Southwest tickets?
Correct.
So you're never throwing the money away if you have Southwest tickets, because you can always cancel them up to the time the plane takes off.
When I buy the Anytime, I think it's called the Anytime,
No,
it says
they're all
They're
refund.
not
You
refundable.
can always. They're not refundable, but they're always the money is protected if you cancel the flight before the flight takes off. So if she didn't drive them to the airport and she's like, nope, sorry, I didn't take them, then you could cancel their flight. But you would just have to use that flight money for another flight. You wouldn't get the money back. You would just use it for another flight. But that's the only way I know somebody's not complied. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a which comes first, the chicken or the egg kind of a scenario. Like, and I waived your child support obligation so that money would be spent on the flights and the travel,
Right.
and so it might end up getting lost, but it's lost. She's losing the money anyway. Like, it would have gone to her, but she didn't bring the kids when she was supposed to. So I know it makes no sense. It's like money wasted, but it's the only way I can see that she really failed to make sure that they got on the plane. The other thing I told you was send your mom down, and I know I was volunteering her, but you know, you've gotten such a big break on child support.
I was gonna drive down there. That wasn't an issue.
Pardon me?
I was gonna drive down there. That wasn't an issue.
Drive down where?
To the border of New
I
Mexico.
know, but what you're doing is you're creating a burden for Ashley to drive, and so she then, when she requests, hey, look, I need to pay for transportation, you're gonna have to pay for that because you're the one
offered-
now that's got the burden, because
I
you're
offered to pay her.
I understand, but
Just
you
not
both.
$900 worth. That was.
I saw your
It was-
calculation. I saw your
Yeah.
calculation. So his calculation was not. It was not unreasonable. It was like $100 round, I think is what it was, based upon. I think it was $100 round
Yeah.
trip. Yeah. So, but the reality is, you get enough in a break to be able to pay for tickets. Really.
Well, for Thanksgiving, the only reason I asked if she would meet me at the border because it was a shorter notice and a shorter stint, and the tickets were astronomical.
Oh yeah, they are. They are.
Christmas would have been a different story, but she's refusing to transport the kids, even to the
Oh, I
airport, so what am I supposed to do at that point?
Well,
Now I know,
you need
I
to-
should have bought the tickets, now I know that. but-
Correct, and you need to give her here's the deal, send her the $100 gas money, the appropriate gas money to get her to the airport. Because the only way I can make the finding that there was nothing that should have stopped her, okay? Then, I mean, because look, at the end of the day, I've let it be known, it's her obligation to get them to the airport.
Right.
Otherwise, if you could send your mom down, but that's not your mom's obligation.
Well,
At the
that's
end of the
why-
day, it's her obligation to get them
That's
to the
why I
airport.
said in the alternative, I'm gonna just buy the plane tickets, and
Mhm.
she said she would not transport them to the airport.
Because she wanted money to get them to the airport.
Right.
If you send her, here, this is gonna cost you $120 to get to the airport and back. Whatever the gas, full tank of gas back and forth, whatever it is. And then she doesn't do it, then I can say, okay, now she's not complied, bring those kids up here. Okay? Because then there's nothing, you've paid for all the transportation, which is what you're supposed to do. And there's nothing that should have prevented them from getting here.
I
okay.
wasn't,
Do you
I
understand?
guess
But you
I
have
just
to.
wasn't understanding before that if I bought the plane tickets, I was under the understanding that she was obligated to get them to the airport.
Well,
I
but
didn't know
here's
that
the,
I
but
had
the
to pay for
problem.
her gas
She is obligated to get in the airport. But I also do consider the fact that it does cost her money to get there, and it's not just down the street like here. You know, it is 2.5 hours away for her. So
It just wasn't
it's a
discussed,
burden
so
that you should give her something to compensate her for
Sure.
that. Okay, so I would say that this was just not a good scenario because nobody really understood. But and also you guys are both like, oh, I don't trust you. If I give you the money, are you really going to look? At the end of the day, if you give her the money and she doesn't come to the airport or she doesn't go to the border or whatever, then that's when I could say, all right, you gave her every opportunity to comply, and you even provided the transportation costs, which is what I alleviated your obligation for. So I said, all right, you don't have to pay her the child support anymore, but you're going to pay for the transportation costs. And that includes if it takes some time to get them to the airport. I really would think that would be part of it, just because it's only fair. She is driving 5 hours round trip and spending, a good chunk of money on gas. But you have spring break coming up. What's the date on that for To Come Carry? Do we know?
I have the calendar at home, I believe. I could look it up online. It's
Ashley,
online.
do you know when the spring break
I
week
believe
is? The
It's-
break?
February,
The last week of March.
or March, I mean.
Last week of March? Okay. I mean, that's your time. You can, again, look, you've had this break of all this child support, so you should be able to buy a ticket for each of them. You should be able to pay her some money to get her the gas to get to the airport and back. And if so you're going to expend some money, and she may fail. And at that point, then I can step in. But if you expend the money, it's the only way. It's the only way that I can say, all right, you've done your part, and she didn't do hers. And like I said, I gave you that break. You would have otherwise been just sending it to her, and she would have had to do it, and we know how that went. So my point was, you do it, and you're going to have to expend it, and you may have to expend some that you lose.
And I did on the summer vacation, and it went almost flawlessly.
Perfect.
That's fine. But
Perfect.
It was just this time around, just wasn't.
Perfect. So you're going to do it for spring break, and you're going to do it again for summer. And I would say it's only fair that if she's going to travel, that especially because they're not short distances, that she gets something for that, because that's the reason why I gave you that break. Because it's about $900, and 7 to 8 to 9 a month at this point. It's a lot. But you will spend a lot if you see them like you're supposed to.
Right.
You'll spend a lot on transportation.
Right. It
So
cost me $1,000 to get him out here for summer trip, so. Yeah.
right. So with that, I'm going to say that you need to do that for the spring break. Get her the tickets. If you do Southwest, take a look. It tells you could cancel these all the way up to the time that the flight takes off. but you just get like flight miles back. You get the same amount of dollars back in flight miles. You just have to use them for those same people again on another flight. So you don't lose the money. But make sure she has the money to get to the airport. And then that way, if she violates it, then I can do something. You know, because then she can't say, he left me to drive 5 hours with no gas money. And then same thing with summer. I mean, that's all coming up. So, I will look into, I want to look about what I want to do with this house thing, because I think I want some additional information.
There's also issues with the
Pardon
Skype.
me?
There's also issues with the Skype visits
Oh,
still
yeah, I
being
know.
interfered on.
Yeah, and Ashley, you need to let him have those unencumbered, unfettered, open access. I know your kids are little, but you need to, I've ordered them to be where he's not monitored. That just give them the phone, let them talk. I mean, Reese is 10 this month, just turned 10, and Tucker is 6, so they can have a conversation without being helped. It's not like they're 2 and 3 years old and need someone to hold the phone for them. So my order is that they have unhampered access to the device and that they talk to their dad without being monitored. So let me know. Pardon me?
Their behavior has changed too. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it's the fact that it's been since summer since we've had
Yeah.
physical
Contact.
Contact.
Yeah, but you're going to
But-
get it this March.
Right, but you know,
Okay.
they're especially Tucker being 6.
Yeah.
He repeats things, and it's not been pleasant
Really.
recently.
Hey, what?
He repeats things, he said.
I mean, when I jump on the phone and I get some off-the-wall rude comment from a 6-year-old, I mean, that's just uncalled for.
Oh my
You
God.
can't put the blame on the 6-year-old because he doesn't come up with these comments on his own. He hears them from somewhere else. So, who's he hearing?
You'll get to
Not
see
hearing from me.
okay, whatever.
Ashley, what
Yeah.
what are you saying?
I leave them the phone and I leave the room.
She holds
What they do with the phone and what they say with it is, I don't know. So whatever comments that Pete is ensuing that is happening, Tucker is a 6-year-old, very, very smart boy,
So if I
and
have
probably got it from somewhere else.
okay,
And you
well,
think he's
all right. So here's the deal. I'm
nothing, whatever.
I'm being told that you're in the room by both Mr. Deiana and Mr. Deiana's mom, who's there as a witness too. So I don't know how that's possible that you're not in the room if they're saying you're the one actually holding the phone. But I would say give them the device, walk out of the room. Maybe you just prove it to them by, here's the door, I'm walking out of it, I'm shutting it, I put the device in such a way that they can see you leave the room and
It was pretty obvious she's sitting there holding the phone when she's interjecting herself into every conversation.
into the
we have.
conversation. So, yeah, I mean, look, don't interject the conversation. Don't, just do yourself a favor. I keep trying to tell you, like, the harder it's made for him, then the more inclined I am to say they come back. And that's not what you want. So anyway, I have to make this conversation with this other judge to determine what's to happen next. But in the meantime, you have your orders for spring break. I'll make contact with both of you about when our conference is. If we have one, I'll let you know. We have one. I'll send out a minute order, letting you know what we discussed, which would just be logistics if we don't make the determination right then and there. And if logistics require that 2 of you appear again, we'll let you know. And what will happen is Ashley will receive notification from that court, most likely. You probably will too now that you're a party there. But you'll both hear from me from this court as well. Okay? All right, so for today, I'll let you go.
Wait, I have a couple of things I'd like to say.
Okay, go ahead.
I am in graduate school now.
Okay.
You made a big deal about me going back to graduate school, and so that is something that is happening.
Good. Well,
I'm in.
I didn't
I
make a big
started.
deal out of it. That was the basis for which you got to relocate. I made no big
Right.
deal out of
Well-
anything. I made sure that you were doing what you said you were going to do, because otherwise
And I
the
am.
basis for this relocation was a farce. So
Years later.
I had to ensure that that was occurring, because that's my job. Okay, so
Right.
all right. So
Well,
you're in
I'm
graduate
telling you.
school. Okay, good. And what are you studying?
Speech and speech language pathology.
Okay, so you're just getting the master's in what you were already doing. That's good. Okay,
Yeah.
and
And I'm sure it would be nice for everybody to know all the good things that the kids are doing here and involved in. Nobody ever asks how they're doing or how happy they are. And it always just gets pointed into everything being a negative. So
I'm sure they are happy. Nobody's saying they're not, but that doesn't.
it's because they're not.
What's that?
Pete doesn't think they are. He thinks they're doing horribly. So
Okay. Well, that's.
I just want you to know, as a judge, that their grades are awesome. They're involved in a bunch of extracurricular activities,
Okay.
and
I mean,
they're thriving in what they're doing. So
You're missing
I
the
want you to
point.
know that.
You're missing the point, though. I don't distrust that you're not doing what you want, what there is in their best interest in terms of taking care of them, going to school, whatever. But they have to have a relationship with their dad. You heard me explain to him how I put the burden on him to ensure that you get your money to transport, so that that transportation is paid for by him. And then, if you fail to take them, then I'll hold you accountable. But I'm not holding you accountable over this last two scenarios, because it was not very clear. That was probably my fault. I also know that the two of you don't trust one another. I get it. I see the game of chicken. You pay me first and then I'll go. No, you come and then I'll give you money. I mean, I get it. But I just told him, pay the money. If you don't do what you need to do, which is transport them to the airport with the money that he pays you, and then he buys a ticket and it goes unused, then I'll deal with this. But right now, I'm giving everybody the opportunity in spring to follow the schedule, summer to follow the schedule. And look, I'm going to tell you what, a lot of kids relocate and they do really well, and they acclimate to their new surroundings and what have you, but they still visit their other parent, always. And if they don't get the contact with the other parent because someone's thwarting that contact, then the only remedy is to return them back to Nevada. I'm not trying to do that to you. The point is, the behavior in the past put me in a position where I had no choice. And so I'm thankful that the summer went well. I'm not thrilled that the Thanksgiving and the Christmas didn't go as they should have. But spring is coming. Pete has his direction from me as to what you're required to do. The burden is all on you, Mr. Deiana, because I gave you that huge break.
Understood.
And so until you feel you're damaged, I guess is the only way to put it, until that money is expended and I see that she just didn't do what she was supposed to do, I can't then take that action. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to say spring break needs to occur. You need to give her the money for the transporting to the airport, whichever one you choose to fly them in and out of, buy the tickets. Or if you're driving, then you need to pay her to get all the way to the border and back. But I mean, if you have enough time to buy tickets for them to fly, you should fly them. It's quicker. It's a lot less burden on everybody. It's a lot less burden for her to have to drive the
And I'm in school 5 days a week.
Okay.
I'm here on time.
They can always travel. I mean, they can fly on a weekend, on Saturday, and typically for spring break, I mean, they get out on Friday. They would fly on a Saturday anyway. So, you can look for flights and see what's available. And I mean, and if you don't fly on the regular travel days, maybe you even choose, all right, well, Saturday they can fly and it's cheap, and I'll fly them home on Thursday or Friday or Saturday, and not Sunday. I mean, when it's spring break, it's often more expensive on the two ends of the weekend, the 2 weekends. But you might choose to do, Sunday to Thursday or Sunday to Friday or whatever. So that's up to you. And you just need to let her know what those arrangements are, okay? All right. So,
When can we address child support being paid.
I already did. I'm gonna let him buy these
Yes,
tickets. And look,
I understand that.
okay, so I'm gonna talk to this
But-
other, hold on. I'm gonna let him buy these tickets. I'm also, and I want you to provide, I'm gonna probably order you to provide me with what does all this cost, so that I can do a better analysis of what it's gonna cost you for transportation, being given her money, given, doing the plane tickets. Because if there is some small amount that should be paid to her, I'll have you pay that too. Because there is a number that we knew you were paying for child support, and I just gave it completely a blanket $0. You pay everything. But once I see what that looks, hold on, Ashley. Once I see what that looks like, once I see what you paying everything looks like, if you've gotten too big of a break, then I would reinstate some number maybe. Okay, so I understand, Ashley, your request. I'm going to have Mr. Deiana update me on that information as you do the summer and the spring break expenses, so that we can, if we have to revisit it, we will. But I'm not doing it just yet, because I want to see what you actually expend over a period of time, knowing that spring break might be more expensive, summer might not be as expensive. I mean, we know Thanksgiving is, and if you have any kind of something that you looked up at Thanksgiving to show me what your Thanksgiving costs were, if you have that, if you would provide that to me, that would be really helpful, because anything that can show me, like, this is going to cost me a lot of money, okay? So, but then you have to expend the money, because if you're not expending it, she's saying, hey, look, he's not spending the money, I should be getting child support. So, the idea...
Yeah, it's not easy raising 2 kids by yourself.
I understand, but you did it to yourself. So, if you would have just complied with my orders, you would still be getting the child support, but you didn't. So now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to do that for me. If you would update me on, I'll do it all in a minute order, okay? So you'll get it laid out. And same for you, Ashley. I'll send you whatever I want. But I need to call that other judge too, okay? All right, so I'll let you guys go for today, and I'll send you some additional, minute orders and requests, okay? But Ashley, he's going to provide you the money for the gas, so that you can get them to the airport and back, and it's going to be a reasonable amount. It's going to be enough to make sure you get there and back, and it's not going to be some exorbitant amount. And I mean, what your calculations were, I don't know what gas prices are there, but I think you were probably on the right track.
I was high.
Okay, so look, I mean, that was a reasonable offer. But you need to get it to her before she goes, okay? Because that way she has no excuse, okay? And if she doesn't come, then I can deal with her, okay? But you need to be able to show me, I gave her the money, it went to her by this date, we had the plan, she had the itinerary, she knew they were supposed to get there, tickets were bought, nobody showed. Then I'll deal with it.
Now it's understood.
Okay. All right, so thanks, Ashley. I will let you go today, and I will let you guys know about my conference with the other judge, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go off the record.
Have a good day, folks.
Thank you.